activities that helped us build integrity, both in an easy way and in a hard way. And from then on, we learned to act as a class, united in every aspect of life, as classmates, as brothers and sisters, and as midshipmen and women of the fleet.
Although the Academy is aiming for international excellence, which somehow pushes it to comply with the requirements of a successful pursuit to such goal, with requirements which is learning to speak the world's language, English, that led it to enforce an English-only policy within its portals. Maap never stripped off its cadets from their Filipino heritage, moreover, encouraging them to face the world with a high Filipino morale, carrying with them the best of a Filipino trait. Dealing with the worldwide races, we, the Maap cadets, are being trained not to think as an inferior race, but rather a competitive and determined seafarer. We are being trained to stand firmly with our duties and responsibilities as a Filipino. To ensure our dedication to serving the country, the Academy incorporated a naval training course that will prepare us to become officers of the Philippine Navy, most especially during the times when our dear Academy calls for nationalistic acts from its citizens. Now, ladies and gentlemen, forming before you is the word Navy, which symbolizes the vestige of our vow to uphold and stand proud to the Filipino heritage.
Man exists because of his right to live. But what gives meaning to his existence is his principle and the way he lives his life according to it. Such is important by reason of its representation to the certain individuality of a human being. A man's principle is like the bright sun in the skies, which strews light to a man's life, making him see clearly and be able to cast his vision to wherever the lights may be radiated. Principle made man to dream, struggle, and endeavor greatly. It is so treasured that the same thing holds true to the midshipmen in front of you. We learn to live a semi-regimented life, embracing the most valued principle of this institution, the Honor Code, which says that we, the midshipmen, do not lie, cheat, steal, nor tolerate among us those who do. The code is so much valued, for between the lines lie the distinctive identity of the whole Academy itself, and the usefulness of this lies in the heart of every midshipman. That is why at this point, witness as the drillers form before you an effigy of the Honor Code, the sun, which continuously burned, thus giving light to guide us to live life honorably.
At this point, gaze the sun as it glares, signifying the lasting guidance brought by the Honor Code to a midshipman. It reminds us that guiltless dignity is worth a lifetime of fortune, that honor should not be imperiled by any luxury of abhorrent origin, that as a product of a semi-regimental institution, it is of our primary responsibility to act according to the norms of morality. For this will let us to exist honorably. Encompasses in semi-regimental training, the code develops a sense of uprightness among the midshipmen.
As mortals are vulnerable to death, it is a universal truth that we live life just once, and it is therefore logical to say that we should live it at its fullest. Though sad to say that our life clock will one way or another come at a point where it will cease from ticking, life still offers vast varieties of opportunities, which mainly depends on how man makes use of every second passing by. It is true that time greatly influences man's existence, that it brings many to their downfalls, but then puts others to the pedestal of glory, all of which attribute to a wise time management. In the Academy, we were taught to value time, to see the advantages of making time go with our side and not against us. The in-house training we have undergone provides the Academy the opportunity to inject a 24/7 day training, thus greatly taking advantage of every second to train its midshipmen. At 17 hours on and 7 hours off, we live semi-regimentally, strictly observing the daily routine, with the waking hours devoted mainly in academic and semi-regimental activities systematically organized. Now in front of you is the clock, which tells of how valuable we consider time to be.
A midshipman's life greatly relies on every tick of the clock. We are being trained to systematically prioritize the things to be done first. An earnest attitude greatly contributes to an effective time management. To accomplish a task at a shortest period requires a serious approach to the task at hand. That is serious enough to become determined to carry it out. Doing things accurately also plays a vital role in time management. It is necessary to know what has to be done and how to do it, thus preventing errors, which eventually may cause a delay in its fulfillment. In the academy, the midshipmen are being trained to accomplish duties under time pressure, through extra instructions inserted in the daily routines, which should be accomplished without sacrificing any schedule of goals. These goals are strictly enforced, allowing no excuses. These are daily activities of the midshipmen with specified time allowance, and every activity is a duty to be performed. Thus, the Academy adopts to prepare the midshipmen in a time-pressured type of worship. To stay focused under time pressure is an asset in an environment where small delays could mean a disaster. With this, Maap promotes time management amongst cadets to prevent such pressures. At this point, keep an eye on the clock as it tells you the exact time. It is now 9 o'clock in the morning.
To be trained semi-regimentally really is not an easy task. To survive such training requires a great deal of sacrifice. Not only to surrender the luxury of a civilian life, but worse is that we have to live miles away from our beloved. In exchange for the opportunities offered by the Academy, we sacrifice the loving moments we are spending in the company of our caring parents and relatives. We could still remember the very first day we entered the very grounds of this institution. It was not missing the gigs nor the nights outside that brought sadness in our hearts, but it was the realization that that very moment is the turning point of our lives without them so close to us. In the morning of each day that followed is pervaded by a sweating body brought by the training, while the evening fills itself with tears from our eyes as our hearts hurt dearly because they seemed so far away. We almost gave it up, but your letters once again strengthened our weathered wheels, recuperated our ailing determination, and hopefully breached the gap between our hearts. Your thoughts express your faith, and with that brought out the best in us, thus strengthening us to endure the difficulties of such training. We then realized that we have to face such torment for us to triumph in this endeavor. We have to face the fact that we are no longer kids to be pampered dearly, that the profession we chose is no place for a boy, but is completely of a man's world. We have to learn to let go, for that is the only way for us to grow. But it doesn't mean we'll let go from the heart, for ours will forever stay with you. That is why we dedicate this huge heart to you, our beloved, symbolizing the love of a midshipman who will forever treasure and give honor to audience like you.
At this juncture, watch as the drillers execute an exhibition termed as the rifle twist. This signifies the critical mindedness of a future merchant marine officer. We recognize that critical thinking is an important tool to survive the ambiguous life of a seafarer.